thoughts on how 9/11 should be marked and celebrated, I guess, or commemorated is probably a better word, 6 years later.
Okay. Well, you know, American workers are very busy workers. That we put in a lot of hours. We have a tendency to forget things. And it's good that we are reminded of key events in our lives. Very much like Pearl Harbor. And I'm sure you've heard of Remember Pearl Harbor. They had buttons, they had slogans, they had posters during World War II to remember Pearl Harbor. We are in the middle of a war right now with the jihadists, the Muslim terrorists, going to go on for a long time. We need to be reminded what they did to us. But by the same token, we can't put this aside and say, okay, let's forget about the Twin Towers. You know, 3,000 people died that day, the Pentagon and the Twin Towers and the fourth airplane that went down in Pennsylvania. We cannot forget what happened to those innocent people that were just trying to carry on the normal daily routine of their lives at work. And they were basically stabbed in the back by terrorists who had no other compassion, no other mission but to hurt America by destroying innocent lives. And this it happened before in 1993 when they tried to destroy the World Trade Center by exploding a truck bomb in the garage. So that's something we've all seemed to have forgotten too. But I just printed out something here too. In 1998, they finally convicted the sixth co-conspirator in that, gave him a 240-year sentence, which means absolutely no way he'll ever get out of prison. So we've forgotten. I don't think most Americans even remember when that happened. But to forget something as significant as 9/11 would be sad for any of us to do, because it's not over, and it's definitely not going to be over for many, many years. This is something I would like to discuss tonight, because I just recently read a book by former Congressman Paul Findley, Findley, and his book is They Dared Speak Out. It's People and Institutions Confront Israel's Lobby. And a lot of people ask, why do Muslims hate America so much? What's the big problem? And what's wrong? What have we done wrong? And I've talked to a lot of people, I've read a lot of books, I've done a lot of my own personal research for thinking about running for president, about the problems in the Middle East. And I think without a doubt, number one reason that the Muslim world hates America so much is our unconditional monetary support of Israel, and monetary and military support of Israel. In that, no matter what Israel does, we still distribute whatever they want. Whatever they ask for, we give them. And
it's true.
We give them military equipment and bombs, but we specify that the military equipment is only to be used in self-defense of Israel, and yet they use that military equipment to attack Lebanon. So this is so convoluted. We are trying to remember 9/11, but we also have to look at the reasons behind why it happened, and the reason is the conflict, ongoing Palestinian-Israeli conflict in the Middle East, which I don't know if it'll ever be resolved in my lifetime, because it seems to have been going on my entire life. I was born in 1947. Israel was created the following year. And this has been something that's been a battle for my entire life, years.
Yeah, it's definitely not new. I guess I like what you said there, kind of. We need to remember the one thing, but on the other hand, we also need to remember the whole situation has been going on for a lot longer than just recent memory. That's a very good point as well. Do you remember what you were? Do you remember what you were doing on September 11, 2001?
Yes, I do. I was working. I work basically 6 days a week, and I was in the middle of. Well, it was in the morning that day, it's Tuesday, and I believe my wife called and said, do you have the TV on? Well, of course I didn't, because I'm in the room taking care of dogs and cats.
Yes.
We do have a break room upstairs, our office, full-story building. Basically, it was a home at one time. And on the second floor, we have our offices, and we have a break room, and we have a TV up there. Well, one of the girls went upstairs and turned the television on, and just the first tower had been hit. I think that was, oh gosh, around 9 o'clock that morning. And it was hard to believe. We thought, well, this must be an accident. And I remember reading a long time ago, I think it was around right shortly after World War II, a B-25 bomber had accidentally crashed into the Empire State Building on a foggy day. And I remember reading that clip about that, a big two-engine bomber flying into the Empire State Building. That's something most people don't know about. But that happened, I think, right around or shortly after World War II. So I first thought, well, that had to be an accident. And then, of course, shortly thereafter, when the second plane hit the second tower, it was very obvious that this was an attack, no accident involved here whatsoever. Then, of course, the Pentagon, and then the fourth plane in Pennsylvania. I was shocked. I wanted to know more what was going on, and then we actually did see when the towers collapsed. But, of course, I had a full schedule. I'm trying to, whenever I had a break in between clients, I'd run upstairs and catch what was on TV. But it was horrible. It was horrifying for not just Americans, but people all around the world. Something like this could happen. And the horror, too, was involved in thinking about all the people that were in that building trying to get out in the stairwell, no less. They weren't using the elevators, obviously. So they're trying to get out using the stairwells. And it had to be terrifying for them. And then when the collapse occurred, it was a crushing event. And all of the firefighters and the police that died as well, trying to rescue and save as many people as they could. So it was just horrible. I think that Al-Qaeda, their intent was to strike a blow at America and maybe try to beat us morally, but the end result was the opposite. I think there were more flags, more U.S. flags displayed the next day and for the following week in this country than there have been in the past 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
Flags everywhere. And what it did actually was to unite Americans against this jihad and against Al-Qaeda.
Did you have presidential aspirations in 2001?
Absolutely not. Furthest thing from my mind. And, I'd never even dreamed of aspirating to politics or presidency or as senator or representative or even state office. I have never thought politics whatsoever in my life before.
Was there a correlation, you think, between the two events?
Pardon me?
Do you think there's a correlation there between the two events?
My deciding to become president and the 911, I don't think there's any correlation at all, because I really didn't decide until just past year. So, and I really hadn't even thought about it because I felt at the time that President Bush was doing a good job. He acted very coolly. He wanted to get all the facts, and I think essentially a lot of people are upset with President Bush. I am somewhat upset with some of the things he's doing right now too. But if whether or not he has a hand in it, we have not had another attack in this country since then. Yeah. And I think that he has to be given credit for that. He and his whole administration. It's a very difficult situation to be in, and I can't imagine what his feelings really were. But I think he's done a fine job, and I think all of America has done a great job in uniting. The only people that I feel have done a bad job is our Congress in not supporting the president 100%, both parties. In a time like this, we can't have any quibbling, any vocalization. The president's a liar. Bush lied, then died. It's obscene that our Congress is not supporting the commander-in-chief at this time in our lives. And that would not have happened after Pearl Harbor. Obviously, it didn't happen. The whole country united and Congress united. But for some reason, our two parties have become so split and so antagonistic that they all need to go home and think about what they're doing and come back to Washington and do a good job.